I can't act like I'm not there no more. I can't act like I'm not sad. I can't act like I'm not angry. I'm in it right now. What am I running from? You run, you're going to take yourself with you. You can't go anywhere. You can't. That's why it's important that we process what's going on with ourselves and the world around us, so we don't end up making decisions that we didn't have any intention of actually making. There's been so many times when I was sad, and even recently when I made bad decisions because of desperation, of loneliness, of wanting to feel like I had somebody. I wanted to feel like I mattered. Okay? That's why it's so important to have room to breathe. Welcome back to NTheRealestWay Podcast by Marqes Smith, where we talk about so many topics in the realest way. On this podcast episode titled Room to Breathe, we're going to discuss the distinct difference between having time to rest and having time to and room to breathe. Time to rest incorporates room to breathe. It's something that is involved with it, but it's important that we separate the two in understanding why this one complements the other one and vice versa. Okay? And I just want it to be known that giving yourself room to rest and giving yourself room to breathe, it's okay. It's needed. And if we don't allow ourselves to take a step back, have those moments of self-reflection and letting our brain process and our emotions, let it process. We don't let that have time to, there's been moments when I didn't have room to breathe and people would come up to me and demand me to have a feeling about something that I didn't truly understand yet. It was, okay, you feel a certain way. There's clearly something wrong. So let's deal with the issue right now. But I didn't know what the issue was. I just knew that I felt something that was wrong. At that time, I didn't have boundaries. So when people did something to me and it hurted, I didn't truly know how to cope with it. And when I decided to use the tools in which I had in an unhealthy way, I closed myself off. And there's a difference with closing yourself off and allowing yourself to have room to breathe. Closing yourself off means I'm sitting in my little dark room mentally or physically or spiritually. You're there and nothing can get to you. You're just sitting with your emotions of anger and sadness and just the pain of what happened to you. And you don't want to self-reflect. It's not a self-reflection time. It's a blaming time, whether you're blaming yourself or you're blaming other people. Okay? It's the difference. And it's not the same as the checking on yourself and giving yourself room to breathe. Okay? It's not the same thing. Giving yourself room to breathe is freeing. And it allows moments that could be tough to be a lot easier. An example I can give about my podcast is a lot of things that I do, I need to have room to breathe. I can't just constantly work and do a podcast the entire day, because then your mind will literally, I'm telling you, okay? And this is a mentality thing too, of what you're telling yourself and just training your mind to just be stronger than what has the things that you're comfortable with, if that makes sense. So I'm already doing a podcast every single day. I found myself accepting things that I wouldn't usually accept in the podcast edits, things that I wouldn't care about because I was so focused on the pursuit of this, and that. And my intentions were to accomplish what was in front of me, and that's 100% okay. But I was forgetting a lot of the stuff that I needed to. You can't just run after this one thing and tell yourself that this is all that I'm pursuing, because then you'll lose all of what you're trying to gain. Now you're out here putting half stuff out. Now you're out here just putting anything out because you're trying to force your creativity. You're trying to speed through the process. You can't speed through the process. Today, I did the calculations about how many podcast episodes I needed in case I didn't have my podcast equipment in time. The relative and the longest that I would have to wait is 3 months. It could take 1 month. It could take 2 months. It could take 3 months. So I have to have precautions of creating podcast episodes to where I'm able to continue what I'm doing. And after today, I realized that the minimum that I would have to create is 32 podcast episodes. Now, I should have already started doing this because it's a level of accountability, knowing ahead of time what you need to have done, what needs to be planned. But now I'm in a state, or I was in a state of panic. I was in a state of panic and disarray. When you in a chaos, in a crisis, your mind is not focused, and it's not gonna allow you, especially in creativity, to fully be in the moment of what you're doing. Sometimes we forget that this is supposed to be purposeful. It's supposed to be beautiful. Not every moment is, right? Not everything you do has to be, oh, I'm happy all the time when I'm doing it. But this is still something that is very intentional. And I don't want to lose all that I've gained because I'm trying to force myself to continue to keep going. I need room to breathe. That's why yesterday, when I had that time to do that little thing that I was doing with the questions and stuff and talking, it felt so freeing, because then I felt like I had time to just be in the moment. I didn't have to worry about the stress that comes with the podcast sometimes. And I want to continue the best way, the authentic way. You can think about these examples in all kinds of ways. You can think about it with working out. There was a conversation, okay? And I would say this is related to what we're talking about being in the moment, because we blind ourselves to society's expectations of us, and we don't believe that they're a societal expectation. We believe that it's just how I want to be. There's nothing wrong with the way I've been thinking. A creator on TikTok created a video, an educated video about fat phobia, right? And the negative connotation that comes with people who are fat and the people who are pursuing the fitness, the physical fitness, the holistic fitness lifestyle, just because they don't want to be fat. And he was letting people know that that is fat phobia, because you're in the active pursuit. The primary reason that you're working out is to not become fat. And after he made that video, and he said a lot more about it, this creator stitched his video and was like, so me going to the gym and not wanting to be fat means I'm fat phobic? That's exactly what it means. But we get in spaces of being offended that we don't truly understand what people are saying. And you're not a bad person. I'm so done with the consideration of people being you're a bad person because you make mistakes and you say things that aren't the right thing to say. Now, I do believe that we should hold these people that are on these platforms, that we give them to some level of accountability, some level of you can't just say what you want to say. You have a platform and people are listening to what you say. That's just a given. But in terms of just being a human, education and learning, some people don't understand things. Some people have to listen to somebody else say it, or they have to learn the lesson a different way. But I'm so done with the negative way of me looking at people in life. Now, if you go back and you try to understand what he's saying about how we consider people who are fat and all people who are fat as unhealthy, then you miss the entire point, because you believe from society that all fat people are unhealthy. And that's not always the case. It's not. You can do research. You can look it up. Not every fat person is unhealthy, and not every skinny person is healthy. There are fat people, and I don't even like saying, because I don't know if that's a form of being offensive. And if I am, please correct me. Please. But there are some people who are larger that are considered even more healthy than people who are skinny. You can be skinny and have the worst diet and the worst physical and mental health, right? It's not and that's what people don't realize. And we look at things from our perspective, and I said it before and I'm gonna keep saying it. We look at our life, and it's a given. It makes sense, the reason why we do it. This is our life. Of course we're gonna look at it from a place of our lens. You know what I'm saying? We never take our glasses off to look at the world from a different lens. It's always, I got my glasses on and this is what I see. This is what is around me. Of course you're not going to understand. You can't see the problem. You can't see the problem. So allowing yourself to just give yourself room to breathe. What are these people saying? And there's different connotations that align with this. Yes, giving yourself time to rest, giving yourself time to breathe is a form of giving yourself time to pause, to think about, what am I saying and what am I doing and how am I showing up right now? It's giving you that moment of clarification, of not allowing your emotions to get the better of you. It's the truth that if you're actively pursuing going to the gym just so you're not deemed a fat person, then you're being fat phobic. That's the little definition of it. Now, you can do with that as you will. You may not believe that's true, but that is the case. It's 100% the case. And I'm not a perfect person. Before I listened to his video and educated myself a little bit more, I was deemed fat phobic, and I probably still have it in me. I'm still working through my own issues. And that's why we have to take a moment, check ourselves. And then after we get to a place to where we are educated and we know a lot more about what's going on, we can then advocate and speak about it in a way that we're educated. We are educated, okay? We can't just keep walking around and just talking about things. And we can't keep allowing people to have these platforms where they have no intention of the rest of the world. And it's been these times and these moments of recently where I've seen so many people with a platform, yet they're destroying the community that we have. We're more separated. Okay? That room to breathe is a beautiful clarification about life. It gives you the moment to just understand what's going on around you. And that's in regards to your emotions too. And there was a video that was put out before, and they were talking about how when I'm happy and I'm in the moment, I'm excited, I got some good news, don't make any decision. You're like high off of dopamine right now. You're literally like lit. You're crunk up. Of course, you're going to say yes to everything. Of course, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Now you're in a position where you didn't even want to be in. You didn't even want to do that. But now, you're here now. You ain't got no choice. So go ahead and buckle up and get into it, I guess. And it's not just happiness. It's sadness. That emotion is a very, it's a very difficult one, I guess, because it encompasses a lot more. Sadness can find itself in a way of loneliness, and loneliness can be depression and desperation, allowing things that you wouldn't usually allow to happen. We get in these moments of our lowest and we don't give ourselves room to breathe. Hey, I'm in it right now. I'm here. I can't act like I'm not there no more. I can't act like I'm not sad. I can't act like I'm not angry. I'm in it right now. What am I running from? You run, you're going to take yourself with you. You can't go anywhere. You can't. That's why it's important that we process what's going on with ourselves and the world around us, so we don't end up making decisions that we didn't have any intention of actually making. There's been so many times when I was sad, and even recently when I made bad decisions because of desperation, of loneliness, of wanting to feel like I had somebody. I wanted to feel like I mattered. Okay? That's why it's so important to have room to breathe. Just don't make a decision. Act whatever you believe in, okay? Whatever you believe in. Gain clarification. Go into your little room, your little bubble, and every time there's a decision that needs to be made, at least have a conversation with yourself. If it's not God, if it's not the universe, if it's not a family member or a friend or somebody you care about, at least talk to somebody about a decision, right? But make sure you're okay with it too. There's been so many times when that happened. So many times when I've made decisions out of emotion. I didn't pause. I didn't give myself room to breathe. I just continued on, and I kept going and kept going and kept going. Eventually, I looked back and I didn't have myself with me anymore. The only thing I did carry was the emotions. That's all I had with me. The goals and the intention I had before was tainted, and it left me. It wasn't there anymore. All I had was the loneliness, because I didn't allow these situations to be situations. I didn't allow these moments to be moments, and I just kept going and going and going. So I challenge anybody who's going through times when they have to just think about what's going on around you. Like, how am I showing up? And has there been moments recently or in the past where I didn't ask myself what I really wanted? And I didn't allow these feelings to be processed. I didn't allow my life to be processed. I think the reason why, and for me specifically, before is I used to be so angry, but I pushed a lot of things off of me. A lot of energy, a lot of intentional things that I had to go through on a daily basis. And when I came to South Korea and I was living and learning and healing, I've started to be very intentional with just processing this information. A lot is going on in my mind. And this has been the the most I've ever. These are the days that have felt the longest, and these are the moments that felt like I can't believe I'm here right now. Does that make sense? And I would look back at yesterday and it would feel like it was so long ago. Yesterday felt so long ago because it's just been, now that I've actually been able to just give myself that room to breathe and to process this stuff instead of letting it bounce off of me and, oh, it's okay. It's nothing. I've been through this. I went through that. This happened to me today. Oh, it's okay. But the room to breathe is not just a way of, oh, I'm just processing what's going on. It's a way of self-care, but also the responsibility that you have, not just for yourself, but other people too. And we don't realize our impact until either we don't realize it at all, or someday we realize our worth and what the power that we hold. Because we can do anything. We are able to do anything. It gives you clarity too. It allows you to see things differently. The perspectives are different now. Oh, I was dealing with this, but I took a little step. I'm coming back, but I took a moment to walk outside and go to nature or read a book outside or listen to my favorite song or watch a podcast that I thought was, interesting in the realest way, or I just did something that allowed me to have a little bit of freedom in the moment, a little clarity, a little peace amidst chaos. And after I did that and I came back, oh, I understand a lot better about what's going on. And I can see things in the physical differently. I'm no longer under pressure to believe and do the things that I was doing before. Now, I'm giving myself room to breathe. And if I have to wait for my podcast equipment to come because I didn't make enough podcast episodes, then that's what's going to have to happen. Or I'm going to find another way to continue to make podcast episodes. But I'm not going to force myself to a point to where I'm no longer happy at all with doing this. Because that's what's forced me to let go of a lot of things, the obsession with it, and going about it every single day. You get tired of things after a while of continually doing it and doing it and doing it. And your body's asking, your body's begging you, please stop. I just need a moment. Can I just get a moment to myself? Can I process what's going on in my mind? And if you don't do that, your body will have a visceral reaction, a emotional and physical response to the things that you're doing to it. And that's why if you eat the same food every single day, you're going to get tired of it. You're not going to want to eat it anymore. I used to love me some Cheez-Its. I can't eat them no more like that. Because now the very thought of them, it's like sometimes it's like, some Cheez-Its. What? I'm good. No, thank you. So just apply that to your life. Apply that to what's going on around you. Life can sometimes have some Cheez-Its in there. Your pursuit of this Cheez-It all the time is going to make it have a distaste in your mouth. Now you're doing things in this environment that was supposed to be beautiful, and now you're just allowing it. Oh, I'm just going to edit this. I'm just going to put this together and like that. I'm going to do like that. And now it comes out without any intention behind it. And also, it allows people are going to say what they want to say. But then when you don't have the intention behind what you're doing, it's easy for people to come over here and say, hey, this is what you meant in that podcast episode. This is how you edit it. This is how you didn't, they don't consider that, hey, And it's the truth. It's like not their fault. This is your work. This is your art. And if this is what you allow to be put out there, and it's already going to be a perception of the world, and you're not even sure about what you're doing and what you're saying because now it's, I don't even care anymore, then you're not even going to be able to stand for what you believe in. When we talk about businesses and companies, people who are pursuing these things, you can't have an easy mind of, oh, well, if they don't like it, then I got to stop my whole company or I got to stop my whole business because one person doesn't like it or two people don't like it. A lot of people who are having these businesses, they say, if I like it, that's all that matters. I don't care if you don't like my brand, my company, my business. I don't care because I like it. And that's what matters. And that's the same thing with anything that you do. But if you're not giving yourself room to breathe and to continue these things, and giving yourself room to breathe lets you ask the question about, do I still want to do this? Is it something that is fulfilling me? Instead of just doing the same thing in your life forever, now you're miserable. That's why there's so many people on the internet commenting these hateful responses and these evil things because they're stuck in the life that they live. They know that there's more out there, but now they've been conditioned to a way to where I gotta survive now. I gotta live now. And it's so sad, but in their mind, that's the only thing that they can do is go out there and shit on other people who are trying to become successful. I just gotta go out there and attack you because there's nothing else that in their mind, there's nothing else that they can do. But giving yourself room to breathe. You know what? Actually, I can start that hair company. You know, it may take me some time. I may have to sacrifice a lot, but you know what? I gained some clarity by giving myself room to breathe. Instead of typing that evil tweet on Twitter, you know what? I can do some self-work. I can, do something that makes me happy. Instead of going around trying to attack people who are living their life and trying to help the world. Okay? So if any lesson was learned throughout this podcast episode, at least the lesson I learned and what I gained from my own clarity about structuring my mind and giving myself room to breathe and understand what I'm saying, it's that it's so important to just have silence. This thing right here and the active pursuit of if doing anything fulfilling, but if nothing, you don't have to do anything all the time. Your life is not just work. We weren't created to just work all the time. We were created to love and have the ability to do a lot of the things that we can do. But we also need that time to breathe, that time to rest. Maybe your moments of getting yourself together, you may not need to rest, but you do need to take a step back from what you're doing. We always need those moments of clarity of what we're really doing and why we're doing it. And this goes into the cognitive dissonance of understanding yourself better, understanding people better, and being willing to change your mind. Being willing to accept a world that is constantly changing. Okay? So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to continue making these podcast episodes, but I'm going to do it in a way to where I still know why I'm doing it. There's still a goal in my mind and there's still the love in my heart and I'm still here. My heart is still beating and I know why I'm doing it. I'm not lost in the obsession of it anymore. And once I get to that place in my mind, that's when I need to have room to breathe and ask myself, is it something I want to continue to pursue? This is something that you can apply in your life. Okay? This is something that you can apply in your life. This is like day 5 or 6. I think it's day 5. That is crazy. I've never created this many podcast episodes back to back, and I didn't think, a version of myself didn't think that this was possible, that I would have just, I don't know what I would have did, but it's amazing to see how much I can do and how much I know that I can do. I'm getting closer and closer to going back to the States. There's so much that I don't know yet. There's so much that's coming, and I'm just so excited for the outcome and just the experience of going through them. I really am. This entire journey of going through South Korea was me trying to learn, yes, to love myself and to heal, but giving myself room to breathe was encompassing all of that. I didn't gain this clarity out of anywhere. I had to sit with myself. I had to allow this process to go through my mind and to forgive myself. I had to. And learn to love myself. Okay? So like I say at the end of every podcast episode, I give thanks to the utmost, to the highest power, God. I'm thankful for my friends and my family. I am truly, truly grateful. This is NTheRealestWay Podcast. Out.